Welcome to Read Aloud, Kipsters. Today, we're going to read a book that takes place in the continent we learned about yesterday. Do you remember what continent we learned about yesterday? Was it North America? No. Was it South America? No. Was it Europe? Yeah. Yesterday we learned about Europe. And Europe has many special things about it. There's a country in Europe that's right here called Spain, and in Spain there are bulls. Now, our book today is about a bull named Ferdinand. And in Spain, people used to use bulls for fighting. Ugh. And this story tells about Ferdinand and how he has to make a choice, to be himself or to fight. When we read today, you're going to look really closely at the illustrations. And you're going to listen to the words while you look at those illustrations to see what you can learn. Because sometimes those words don't tell you everything about the story. And you have to look really closely at those illustrations to help you learn more about what's happening. So today we're going to read The Story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf. And you might have seen a movie called Ferdinand about a bull. If you have, touch your head. Whoa, you have? Okay, well, that movie tells the same story as the book. So if you already saw the movie, don't ruin the ending for us. But I'm excited to read it with you today. The Story of Ferdinand by Munro Leaf. Don't forget your job is to look at those illustrations. Once upon a time in Spain, there was a little bull, and his name was Ferdinand. All the other little bulls he lived with would run and jump and butt their heads together. But not Ferdinand. He liked to just sit quietly and smell the flowers. He had a favorite spot out in the pasture under a cork tree. It was his favorite tree, and he would sit in its shade all day and smell the flowers. If you like to smell flowers, too, touch your nose. Oh, I love it. There's Ferdinand sitting by the cork tree, and there are the other bulls out in the field fighting. Sometimes his mother, who was a cow, would worry about him. She was afraid he would be lonesome all by himself. "Why don't you run and play with the other little bulls and skip and butt your head?" she would say. But Ferdinand would shake his head. "I like it better here, where I can just sit quietly and smell the flowers." His mother saw that he was not lonesome, and because she was an understanding mother, even though she was a cow, she just let him sit there and be happy. As the years went by, Ferdinand grew and grew until he was very big and strong. Kipsters, look at this illustration. What does the illustration show you about how Ferdinand has changed? Yeah, he grew so big and strong. You can see that he is so much bigger in this illustration. You can see all his muscles that are making him so strong. All the other bulls who had grown up with him in the same pasture would fight each other all day. They would butt each other and stick each other with their horns. What they wanted most of all was to be picked to fight at the bullfights in Madrid. Madrid is a city inside Spain. So this illustration shows all the bulls that Ferdinand grew up with, and they're looking at this sign, and it says bullfight at the stadium, Madrid. What do the bulls want most of all? You got it. They want to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. I wonder if Ferdinand's going to fight. He's going to be himself. Let's see. But not Ferdinand. He still liked to just sit quietly under the cork tree and smell the flowers. You got it. One day, 5 men came in very funny hats to pick the biggest, fastest, roughest bull to fight in the bullfights in Madrid. All the other bulls ran around snorting and butting, leaping and jumping, so the men would think that they were very strong and fierce and pick them. Ferdinand knew that they wouldn't pick him, and he didn't care. So he went out to his favorite cork tree to sit down. He didn't look where he was sitting, and instead of sitting on the nice cool grass in the shade, he sat on a bumblebee. Well, if you were a bumblebee and a bull sat on you, what would you do? You would sting him, and that is just what this bee did to Ferdinand. Look at his face. How does he feel? Yeah. Wow! Did it hurt? Ferdinand jumped up with a snort. He ran around puffing and snorting, butting and pawing the ground as if he were crazy. The 5 men saw him, and they all shouted with joy. Here was the largest and fiercest bull of all, just the one for the bullfights in Madrid. Wait, you guys, what do these men think about Ferdinand? Yeah, they think that he's large and fierce and strong and that he would be a good fighter. But do they know about the bumblebee? No. Ooh, what is going to happen? So they took him away for the bullfight day in a cart. What a day it was. Flags were flying, bands were playing, and all the lovely ladies had flowers in their hair. They had a parade into the bull ring. First came the bandoleros, with long sharp pins and ribbons on them to stick in the bull and make him mad. Next came the picadores, who rode skinny horses, and they had long spears to stick in the bull and make him madder. Then came the matador, the proudest of all. He thought he was very handsome and bowed to the ladies. He had a red cape and a sword and was supposed to stick the bull last of all. Then came the bull. And you know who that was, don't you? Ferdinand. They called him Ferdinand the Fierce, and all the bandoleros were afraid of him, and the picadores were afraid of him, and the matador was scared stiff. Ferdinand ran to the middle of the ring, and everyone shouted and clapped, because they thought he was going to fight fiercely and butt and snort and kick his horns around. Look at Ferdinand right there in the ring. See that little picture of him? What do you think he will do next? Remember I said he has to decide if he's going to fight or if he is going to be himself. Now he's in the ring. All those people are watching. All the men have those things to stick him with. What do you think he's going to do? Maybe that. Let's find out. But not Ferdinand. When he got to the middle of the ring, he saw the flowers in all the lovely ladies' hair, and he just sat down quietly and smelled. He wouldn't fight and be fierce, no matter what they did. He just sat and smelled. And the bandoleros were mad, and the picadores were madder. And the matador was so mad, he cried because he couldn't show off with his cape and sword. So they had to take Ferdinand home. And for all I know, he is sitting there still, under his favorite cork tree, smelling flowers just quietly. He is very happy. Kipsters, why do you think Ferdinand is happy at the end of the story? Oh, because he got to sit under his favorite tree? I think so too. So Kipsters, I have a new task for you today. Ferdinand had to choose between fighting and being himself and smelling those flowers. I want to know, if you were a bull with some horns, what would you do if those men brought you into the ring? But today, I don't want you to draw a picture and write a sentence. I want you to take a video of yourself acting it out. You can be a bull with some horns and you can charge at the men. Or you can just be a nice little bull and sit and smell the flowers. Take a video and send it to your teacher so that they can see what you would do. Would you fight or would you smell flowers? See you tomorrow.